So you've ridden over 200,000 kilometers. What places still stop you in your tracks every time? And what place or places made you think this might have been a bad idea?
See, the beauty of riding in Europe is the variety of places that you can ride. So, there are the tours that I offer. I figured, for offering this to people that, haven't been riding that much in Europe, like what would be sort of my top 5 or top 6 regions to go to, right? And that's why I picked those to guide tours through. And I like the variety. And we talked about Norway. Norway is very beautiful as a country. When it comes to, and it's quite the contrast to Sardinia. Sardinia is, you can put your knees and the footrests down and then carve through the corners. That's not what Norway is like. Norway, you go there for the scenery and the beauty of the place. It's a much more relaxed ride. They're pretty strict speed limits and high fines, so you don't want to be going too fast anyway. Italy's a bit more relaxed when it comes to that. So it's a contrast of these places, right? That makes it great. Then the Alps, the entire Alps regions, you've got everything from beautiful riding to the, just high mountain scenery. And it's so different too from, when you start from the Dolomites, that everyone knows the Dolomites, right? It's pretty, they're not the highest mountains, but the way it's laid out is just postcard beauty. I mean, you go there and it's just like, that's also why it's quite busy in the summer, because it's close enough for people to go there and it's beautiful enough for everyone to have a good time. And then you have places like the West Alps, the French Alps, where the mountains go a bit higher. You have bare mountain landscapes. There's a lot less going on. So if you're more into the quieter experience, then you go down the sort of all the French Alps, and that's also beautiful. So you've got this full range in the mountains, and that makes it really beautiful. The Balkans is probably one of the most underrated places in Europe, I think. For those people that have been there, they go back, second, third time. For some reason, it was one of them that there was a second tour that sold out last year for some reason, because I figured most people wouldn't even know about it that much. And it's an area I've been to quite a bit too. It's just a diversity of landscapes. There's a lot of history in the war history, Cold War history, or recent Yugoslavia war history that you can still see. And then, old towns, beautiful coastal roads. The food is awesome. The people are super nice. So that's, I think that's still a special area. And, for those off-road riders and venture riders, it's just a paradise. There's still a lot of unrestricted places where you can hit the gravel. Everything, the bike that I have is, there's so much you can do with it. It's big and heavy, but for those guys on one single cylinder bikes, you can do crazy stuff in the better part of the Balkans. That's really cool. And then I don't know if you've seen it, but last year we kind of expanded our reach towards southern Spain and Portugal. So I've been there. I've been to southern Spain. I've been to Portugal, but I haven't ridden a bike there. So after touring the full year in Norway, in Italy, in the mountains, where it was still green, lush, and then you come to southern Spain and the colors, you've got this yellow, light yellow, brown, and the contrast of these white buildings. It's completely different scenery. It looks absolutely beautiful. And then seeing that and knowing that, and you can do it later in the season because it's still warm. You can do it very early in the season. And then Portugal too is amazing. I've seen parts of Portugal, but I wanted to see the rest of it. So I did sort of the southern coast of it where all the surfers are. And that's still a pretty dry part of Portugal. When you start going north past Lisbon and Porto, and then you have the wine region and mountain ranges and stuff. And it's just amazing. So you have all this. It's really hard to say what the most beautiful place is to ride. And then, of course, there's Iceland, which is like, that's another adventure just to get there in the first place and to ride there. So it's not, again, you wouldn't do that for the riding unless you go off-road. So off-road riding is definitely a thrill because you have to go through all these water crossings, and every water crossing you risk drowning your bike. And that's a heart-pounding experience, especially when you're by yourself. But the actual ring road,
so sorry to interrupt. I watched something on Iceland too. Some guy did two guys took off there and they drowned the bike, man. He had to get rid of it and ship it, and he had to go buy another one.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm hoping that I find, if I do this video, it'll probably take me 3 weeks to edit the whole thing, and it's been my biggest trip. But yeah, the water crossings there, I met a guy, and again, when you ride, I was there by myself, I met someone, and we shared, half of the journey together. So it's good to have another buddy, just to get you out of difficult situations. And also it allowed me to do more than I would have probably dared myself. That's insane. The first water crossing, my heart was like pounding. and and I must have done 100 of those,
Did I get this right? Your top 5: Norway, Dolomites, French Alps, Balkans, and then Spain and Portugal.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. And I know that some people will say, what about Ireland and Scotland? They're awesome too. I mean, it's just... I spent more than 20 years as an engineer before I finally walked away to build a life around motorcycles and travel. I recently sat down with the crew at One Gang Worldwide podcast to talk about exactly how I did it. The best roads in Europe you need to ride, and why someday is the most dangerous word in a rider's vocabulary. I want to give a massive shout out to the guys who hosted me. They run a channel called Cycles Worldwide. They're a growing community doing something rare. They're actually shining a light on the real stories behind the ride. So do me a favor, hit the link on the screen or in the description and go and subscribe to the channel.